Forget teaching the Bible in public school. That's a dicey enough proposition. Apparently in Broward County, Florida, the school board there has decided that even reading the Bible on your own should be out of bounds as well. Giovanni Rubeo is a 5th grader in that school system who participates in the Accelerated Reader program, which includes time to read on your own. Should he be able to use the Bible as his chosen text? What do you think? Well, it turns out that his teacher said no, and was initially, and in fact is still being, backed up by the school system. Their claim is that it wasn't on the approved list of 1,000 books that kids in the Accelerated Reader program are allowed to choose to read on their own. Well, it turns out that that's not true. In fact, 60 of the 66 books which make up the Hebrew Bible and the Old Testament are on that list. So what happened here? Well, there clearly is a culture, at least by some of these school employees, of, if not hostility to Scripture, then at least fear of its presence on their premises. And that's a very serious problem. Not because anyone has to believe in the Bible or follow its teachings, but because fear of pretty much any literature should not be the hallmark of any school system. At the same time, we have a problem when Giovanni's father says that the school lied when they said that the Bible wasn't on the list. We don't know if they lied. They could have just made a mistake, and maybe they will begin to correct it. Imagine if both sides could step back from their fear and their accusation to try and find a better solution to this. And that's really what this ought to be about. Cultivating love of reading should trump whatever book you happen to want to read. And when teachers and school boards fail to recognize that, that school, and even worse, those students, have a problem. I remember someone coming to my wife, an educator and a special educator and a reading specialist, concerned that their kid was reading a book series called Captain Underpants, and isn't that silly? She said, nothing is silly if it helps you fall in love with reading. So whether it's Captain Underpants or Scripture, maybe we ought to let Giovanni choose what he wants to read, so he will love reading. Also, this is a wise kid. When asked about why he chose the Bible, he said, I just like the wisdom it gives me. It teaches life lessons. Wow. Could you imagine if both those who fear Scripture and those who shove it down people's throats would approach it like Giovanni does? Because at the end of the day, if we would simply stop fighting about the status of the Bible as the good book, and step back and simply appreciate it as a great book, we would probably all be better off. And more kids might fall in love with reading.